to this now. Some reports suggest that security has been tightened at the head office of the Ingonyama Trust in Pietermaritzburg. Now, this follows the confusion over who runs the trust. So, is it the board or is it the legal lawyers appointed by the AmaZulu King Misuzulu, kaZwelithini? Let's get answers now. We speak to Minister of Rural Development and Land Reform, Mzwanele Nyhontso, who is joining us just to give us a sense of what is going on here. Minister, good evening to you and thank you so much for your time. Compliments of the season. What's going on?
Good evening to you, Bongiwe, and compliments of the season to you too. It's really unfortunate what is going on. We also hoping that we'll be able to resolve it soon. And we've also received these reports that the security has been tightened because the lawyers who are claiming to be given instructions or appointed by the king are claiming to be in charge of the Ingonyama Trust board issues, which can never be the case. Because as you know, Bongiwe, this is law and law is law. And there is no one above the law. And therefore, we must all subject ourselves to the law. And we all know how the service providers can be appointed by the board. We all know, we've explained it even to the media statement we've issued, how the board can be dissolved or appointed. We've clarified all that. But Bongiwe, with all that I've said, today I can communicate this to you that we have written to the king, directly to the king as the department, and we are asking for a meeting urgently between the minister and the king so that we resolve all these issues, because it's really regrettable what is happening in the Ingonyama Trust Board. And all we want as the department is a working board, is a board that works for KwaZulu-Natal, is a board that works for AmaKhosi KwaZulu, is the board that is taking care of the land of KwaZulu that must benefit the people of KwaZulu. And with all that, there is law that we must all subject ourselves to.
Right. And for someone who may have missed your statement, who is in charge? And who was appointed rightfully here?
No, the board can only be appointed by the minister after consulting the king, who is the sole trustee, after consulting the premier of the province, after consulting the chairperson of the House of Traditional Leaders, of course, who is representing AmaKhosi. So after that, the minister can appoint 8 members of the board. 4 by the king, 4 in communicating with the king. But even to dissolve, you are following the same route. Now, as I've said in my statement, that the board, as appointed by the previous minister, remains in place until the minister decides otherwise. We were already in communication with the board, with the minister, with everyone, with the premier, because remember, I met with the king and he raised all the issues against the board. And I will explain to him that there are processes, we must listen to both sides of the story. We can't just go out there and dissolve the board without following processes. Because if the board decides to take this dissolution or suspension by the king to court, it won't stand the legal scrutiny. And remember, the minister is going to be cited and the costs will be paid by the department and they will be using taxpayers' money. So unfortunately, we can't allow that.
Minister, can you take us into your confidence? I know that when we saw the reports, they talk about a forensic investigation that must take place. That's what the king is saying, that they're suspended. As you look at the CEO, the CFO, pending a forensic investigation. What issues is he citing exactly?
No, there's a lot of issues around the board or the way how the board is operating as they were raised by the king. Remember, when we met with the king, he raised it up front that please dissolve this board. It's not working well, and he started raising all these issues. And we listened to him.
And
we also,
are you able to just at least take us into your confidence? What's the one issue he's raising here? What is he saying?
One of the issues that he's raising was that the board is undermining the king. Secondly, he said the board is holding meetings in the absence of the king, who is also the chairperson of the board. Now they were saying they would call the meetings without him, and then decide and take decisions without him being the chairperson and the sole trustee of the board. We raised those issues with the board. The board also raised some issues with the king, against the king.
What are they saying?
And we said no. Now they were saying the king is not attending the meetings. They are inviting him to the meeting. He does not attend the meetings, and he just doesn't respect them as a board. And of course, there was no way we could just get one side of the story and dissolve. So we had to follow all the process. I even went to the portfolio committee in Parliament just before the recess, and I took them into confidence about what has been happening with the board. And I told them that I will come back once I consulted everybody, including the Premier of the province. And over the phone, I spoke to the Premier about it, that Premier, there's a problem, we need to talk about this. So as we're still doing all those consultations, then the king dissolved the board or suspended the board. And the thing is that there are lawyers who are writing letters. We don't even know if these lawyers have got these instructions from the king. And remember, even to appoint the lawyers is also irregular, because the service provider must also be appointed by a board meeting and so on. So that's why I'm saying we must sit down with the king, resolve all these matters, so that we have a working point.
Before I let you go, when do you meet with the king? I know you've written to him. When do you meet with him? And are you concerned at the apparent flouting of processes here? Is this something you're going to raise with him?
Definitely. I'm going to meet with the king immediately. Remember, I'm told the king is in what they call the seclusion, and we must respect that. And we're told that he was going to get off the seclusion after the 15th of January. So we're hoping that immediately after the seclusion, we'll be able to meet with the king. And we must definitely raise the issues, the concerns about the flouting of the PFMA. Remember, these are taxpayers, so we'll definitely raise the flouting and everything that is a concern now, the security of the other people being blocked to come and enter the premises, including people who are calling themselves that they are now running the affairs of the board. I mean, that's flouting of the constitution, and we can't allow it. We must definitely raise it with the king. We will.
Who goes to work then tomorrow?
It should be the board, because the board is in place until the minister decides otherwise.
Okay, let's see what happens then. And I hope you come back to tell us how the meeting went, so we get an understanding as to what exactly is going on here, because it sounds like it's a tit for tat and quite a bit of drama.
I'll come back if you invite me, if now you invited me.
Definitely, I will invite you. I'm extending that invite. Just after that meeting, the invite is standing. You come to the viewers and you tell us exactly what's going on, Minister. Thank you so much. That invite is standing. It's open now. Thank you so much for your time. That was the Minister of Rural Development and Land Reform, Mzwanele Nyhontso.